Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Clear Cut. I'm Michelle McCory. Iran did not kill U.S. troops in its retaliatory strikes in Iraq on Tuesday night, but it's looking more and more like the country did kill civilians, albeit perhaps unintentionally. Multiple reports say that satellite images prove the Ukrainian jetliner that crashed in Tehran was indeed shot down by an Iranian missile. At least 63 Canadians were on board, and Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says his nation has intelligence pointing to Iran as the culprit. Marcy Gonzalez reports.
Video from the last tracked position of the Ukrainian 737 that crashed in Iran shows what appears to be a missile hitting something in the sky that then erupts in flames. Canada's Prime Minister, the first world leader to say the plane was likely shot down by Iran's anti-aircraft system, killing all 176 people on board.
The evidence indicates that the plane was shot down by an Iranian surface-to-air missile. This may well have been unintentional.
The jetliner disappearing from radar soon after takeoff from Tehran early Wednesday morning, just hours after Iran fired missiles at American targets in retaliation for the U.S. killing one of their senior officials. Iran blaming the crash on possible mechanical failure, saying it is scientifically impossible that a missile has hit the Ukrainian plane. President Trump calling the crash suspicious.
Somebody could have made a mistake. Some people say it was mechanical. I personally don't think that's even a question, personally.
Iranian investigators will now examine the jetliner's black boxes and the wreckage now cleared from the site. Some experts pointing to that hole in the fuselage blown from the outside in as possible evidence of a missile strike.
That was Marcy Gonzalez reporting there. But will this evidence that Iran shot down a civilian airliner bring any stronger diplomatic response against Tehran? Joining me now to discuss our opening panel, former U.S. Naval Intelligence Officer John Jordan and the Chairman Board of Trustees at the Iran Liberation Congress, Iman Foroughian. Thank you both for being with us. Iman, let's start with you. Iran has ruled out a missile strike by its air defenses. The country's aviation authority is saying that it's not going to hand over the black boxes to Boeing, but it hasn't been clear if it will hand over the black boxes to anyone else. What do you think, Iman, could be the diplomatic fallout here for Iran?
Yeah, hi, Michelle. Well, first of all, let's put an end to all these questions. We have actual videos and we have text messaging from Iran at about 6 a.m. Tehran time that the neighbors around the city of Karaj in the area of Parand, they heard 3 shots, 3 missiles. And then we have videos, 2 videos that I sent to your producers. The first one shows the plane being hit, and the second one with the plane being actually, crashing. And if you wish, I'll give you a background. In 2017, IRI, Islamic Republic, after they noticed that there's some helicopter shots above Tehran, they decided they wanted to make their own Iron Dome like Israel. They used some Chinese infrastructure and Iranian technology to build that. And basically, these Iron Domes use SAM-1 and SAM-2, M1, M2 Russian missiles. They're heat-seeking. Within about a few seconds, 15 seconds after they're turned on, they go ahead and find anything that is flying, and they target their engines. And that's exactly what happened. The only question that remains now is whether this was accidental or intentional, which we can discuss that later.
All right, Iman, let's stick with you. Let's assume that this was just an accident. Is there going to be some kind of diplomatic fallout for Iran over this, especially if it doesn't provide the necessary level of cooperation with the investigation, as is typical in these types of cases?
Absolutely. I mean, we already heard from the Prime Minister of Canada, and I think the Ukrainian president will talk. And there were about, I think, 70 or so Canadians. There was a lot of Iranians and other nationalities. It must be, it definitely is a sign when a country does not turn in the black box of that plane to the manufacturer, in this case, Boeing.
John Jordan, Iran's transport ministry is saying that this can't be a missile because several flights were flying at the same time in Iranian airspace at the same altitude, and they were fine. So what do you make of that explanation, John?
That's baloney. First of all, there's infrared imagery of the surface-to-air missiles leaving the launch rails, and these missiles are targeted towards a specific airplane. It's not enough to say, oh, it's just there were lots of airplanes in airspace at a certain time. That doesn't make a lot of sense. As you know, Michelle, I've been a pilot for 20-some years and 9,000 hours of flight time, so none of this makes any sense. Moreover, you just got to ask yourself, does it make sense that all of a sudden there's going to be some catastrophic incident where the airplane catches fire in flight and comes down when the Israeli military is at a very high alert status, looking for an American airstrike? It just
Iranian
the odds
military.
of this, right? The math on this just doesn't make any sense.
Just to correct you there, the Iranian military, John. So, Iman, when we talk about a diplomatic fallout, what does that mean in effect? Do you see the Canadians joining the U.S. with sanctions? Do you see them actually finally taking a tougher stance against Tehran beyond just some words of condemnation?
Now, as you can imagine, during the last few days since the killing of Soleimani, the whole chess game has changed. Soleimani's death his location was given up because of internal competition and conflicts inside Iran. Now, the question is whether there was somebody on this plane that that section of the Iranian government who was responsible for giving up the location of Soleimani, whether they wanted to shut down this plane because there was one or more people on there that they didn't want to live, or was it really that they thought it was a U.S. plane or Israeli plane attacking Tehran? They pushed a button and this plane went down. That's the question to be remained, and our sources inside Iran they're providing us with information to decide which way really it was.
John, are you concerned that somehow this turns out to be spun as the U.S.'s fault? Had the U.S. not taken out Soleimani, then Iran wouldn't have needed to retaliate the way it did, and therefore somehow this is President Trump's fault for the Iranians taking down this plane.
I'm sure there may be some attempts to do that, but the train is pretty far down the tracks now. The Iranians have launched this. In fact, this couldn't be worse for the Iranians from a PR point of view, both inside Iran and internationally. First of all, they launch a missile strike against U.S. bases, resulting in 0 casualties. 1/3 of their missiles failed, and where they do manage to inflict casualties, it looks like, is one of their battery commanders, surface-air missile battery commanders, mistook an airliner for what they thought might be a U.S. fighter bomber and got trigger happy. So it looks like the Iranians, the only casualties inflicted by the Iranians was their own side. So the Iranians now kind of look around the world in the region as kind of feckless and sad, and this erodes their credibility with friend and foe alike.
All right. Thank you so much, Iman Foroughtun. Appreciate your analysis. John Jordan.